What's up everyone, the Game 2K2 here once again. After the film adaptation of The Sorcerer's Stone, or The Philosopher's Stone as it's known in most of the world, became a box office success, The Chamber of Secrets literally went into production almost immediately after The Sorcerer's Stone's release, and released in theaters almost exactly a year later. The story centers around Harry's second year at Hogwarts. They have a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Professor Gilderoy Lockhart, who is definitely strange and overly cheerful. However, strange events start happening at Hogwarts. Several students are being attacked by an unknown being. However, everyone points their finger at Harry because he seems to always be around when it happens. There are writings in blood after a couple of the attacks that let everyone know that a hidden area in the school has been opened, known as the Chamber of Secrets. Harry, Ron, and Hermione then go on a mission to try to figure out who could have opened it. During their mission, Hermione is attacked, and that leaves Harry and Ron on their own. Hagrid is then arrested because everyone thinks he opens the Chamber of Secrets as well. Ron's younger sister Jenny is then kidnapped and is taken into the Chamber of Secrets, which leads Harry and Ron to try to find the chamber themselves. There are a few more plot elements, but that's pretty much the main plot. The Chamber of Secrets film is very loyal to the book and takes a nice little step in the right direction for the film franchise. It's slightly darker in tone and is beautifully filmed. However, much like the first film, from a cinematic standpoint, it's still very weak in that department. I didn't really go into detail by what I meant by that in my Sorcerer's Stone review. What I mean by that, when I say cinematically, I mean its dialogue, the pace of the story, and the way the book transfers to the big screen. Much like the first film, the dialogue for the most part is copied and pasted from the book to the movie, and that goes back and forth. One thing I've noticed from book adaptations is that dialogue from books won't necessarily work too well in a film. For instance, the conversation in the film about Parseltongue worked so much better in the book than in the film. You are allowed to take it seriously in the book, but in the film it's actually kind of funny to listen to, and you can't really take it seriously. However, despite that, I still think that the story itself transferred very well from the book to the screen. Steve Kloves did a great job writing the screenplay and kept a lot of the important elements from the book in the film. Obviously, like the first film, since the book series was not yet finished, some elements that were needed for later in the series are left out, but it's nothing that they couldn't make up for later. I think the only thing that doesn't fare very well is the character development of the three main characters, Harry, Ron, and Hermione. The personalities of these characters see some big changes, and in my opinion, a lot of it isn't very good. First we go to Ron. In the first film, Ron was pretty much like he was in the book. You could tell that he was the more cowardly, but when he had to be brave, he was very brave. For instance, their fight against the troll and the chess match. In the Chamber of Secrets, all of the bravery that the character possessed is completely absent, and they magnified the cowardly element of him by almost 100%. Then we have Hermione. She was turned into an even bigger know-it-all than in the film than she was in the books. Hermione was more of a book smart than anything else in the first couple of books, while in this film she knows almost everything. And on that note, I go to Harry's personality. Harry is nowhere near as intelligent as he was in the books. In fact, neither is Ron. It seems like almost all the intelligence that the group had was given to Hermione. Screenplay writer Steve Kloves once stated that Hermione was his favorite character from the books, and he kind of shows that in this film. The CGI work is much smoother and less cartoony in The Chamber of Secrets. Visually, The Chamber of Secrets is a beautiful film with some really spectacular effects. I love the Quidditch match, and I love the many effects used for the spell casting. The action is still a pretty mixed bag for me. Like I said before, Chris Columbus is not much of an action director and seems to struggle every time he has to do an action scene. However, the fight between Harry and the Basilisk isn't half bad. Granted, I do prefer the fight that was described in the book rather than the film, but the film version holds up pretty well too. I think the only real problem I had with it was that it was incredibly short. One element of The Sorcerer's Stone that I somehow left out was the score for the film. The great John Williams composed the score for The Sorcerer's Stone and returned for The Chamber of Secrets. John Williams' score is unbelievable. Williams is one of few composers that rarely misses when he's given a movie to score for, and the first two Harry Potter films are no exception. The Harry Potter theme is a classic theme composed by Williams, and the rest of the score fits the tone of the films perfectly. The acting is once again top-notch. There were a couple additions made to the cast for this film. Kenneth Branagh was cast as Gilderoy Lockhart and is perfect for the role. He is both funny and incredibly annoying in this part, which is actually what the character was in the book. Bonnie Wright takes the role as Jenny. Many people seem to forget this, but Wright was actually casted and appears in The Sorcerer's Stone as Jenny in the train station. However, in this film, she makes her full-fledged debut. Wright is actually really perfect for the part and plays the character very well. Jason Isaacs was cast as Draco Malfoy's father, Lucius, and is also perfect. Isaacs performs the villain role so well that you instantly hate him before he even utters a sentence, and for a villain, that is quite an accomplishment. Christian Coulson, who, by the way, if I got his last name wrong, I do apologize. He plays the teenage version of Tom Riddle, aka Voldemort, in the Chamber of Secrets, and I thought he did a very good job. He plays it much how it was described in the book. For some reason, despite playing the teenage version of the main villain in the franchise, Coulson was uncredited in the movie, which is really weird. Almost all of the original cast returns for this film, and I can honestly say that each returning cast member is just as good or even better than they were in the first film. Unfortunately, this would be Richard Harris's last on-screen role, and once again was perfect as Dumbledore in the Chamber of Secrets. Despite my feelings towards the three main characters' personalities in the film, I still like the acting for Harry, Ron, and Hermione. Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, and Emma Watson show some really strong improvements in their acting abilities and really excel on the screen. The chemistry between the three actors is really good, and you can really see the friendship on the screen. Overall, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is another loyal installment to the franchise. As a book adaptation, it's perfect. As a film, it's definitely an improvement over The Sorcerer's Stone. Sure, there are still some flaws, but the Chamber of Secrets is definitely a step in the right direction. Well, everyone, that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.